Hi, I'm Paul.
And I'm Tiffany.
To some, we could be called career wizards.
And to others, sometimes we seem like therapists. However, we definitely are not.
But for you, we are the co-hosts of the Career Boosters podcast.
There will be days where like you're gonna be overwhelmed, you're gonna have 10 other things and you're gonna be doing one thing right now, and thoughts gonna cross your mind like, is this the most important thing you should be doing? Is this the best use of your time? Like, those things will happen, but just do it. Like, put yourself there, like, get a little bit of chaos going and kind of shake your world up a little bit. There's a lot to learn from that kind of stuff, and you might find like a lifelong passion in that. And if it's not something that you like, then so what? Next one.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Career Boosters podcast, season 3, episode 24. Today on the show, we get to chat with one of our first year MBA students, one who has really bought into self-development, growth, networking, relationship building, lots of extracurricular activities, and so much more. All of this combined with being a varsity athlete for the Golden Bears soccer team. Very cool. Tiffany and I have not ever had the chance to play varsity sports, but we could only imagine kind of the time commitment, the training, the development of that craft and what it takes to play at one of the highest levels of sport in Canada. Our guest today is Harkirat Malhi, and today we are going to talk about how he manages life as a student, a varsity athlete, combine that with a mindset of growth development and a pursuit of excellence. I think we need to get right into the first questions. Harkirat, what is the story behind your decision to embark on an MBA journey right now?
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys for having me today. I'm really excited to be here. Story behind pursuing an MBA. For me, I always knew that I wanted to do a master's degree, and I came to that realization about halfway through my undergrad in computing science. So there were certain career paths that I was interested in that industry. But at the same time, I wanted another dose of academia. So I started doing some research and seeing where a master's in that field would take me. And I realized it was opening doors for me, but none of the doors that I actually wanted to walk through. So I started looking at some other things and found the MBA. I thought it was pretty cool and thought that maybe that's the thing that'll scratch the itch of getting a master's one day. But I didn't jump into it right away. I worked in tech and across my family businesses, gained some experience, and that my professional experience really changed my outlook on my professional career and growth. And that's where I realized that I need exposure to certain business topics in a structured environment that I hadn't had access to before, especially during my undergrad. And that's when I thought that now would be the best time to pick up the books again and go with the MBA right away.
That's awesome. And, we've been asking people a question about what their favorite part of the MBA has been. So you've been here for about 8 months or so. What's been the favorite part of your MBA?
I would say the favorite part for me about the MBA is, first of all, I'm someone that's always up for a challenge and and also seeking opportunities for growth. And I noticed that the MBA has pushed me out of my comfort zone many times in a very healthy way. And being able to have access to an environment like that, where I know that every day is an opportunity to grow and work on myself and get better at the things that I do, it just really gets me excited to get going every day and show up.
I think you gave us maybe the next tagline that we're going to have to use in MBA marketing. You may not realize it, but I feel like now the MBA program should have a tagline of "Find your next dose of academia." I picked up on that when you said it, that you were looking for another dose of academia, and what an interesting opportunity to kind of like slot the MBA into that rather large shot of academia I would offer. But that was a really neat way to phrase that. And yes, what an amazing growing ground. But I find you to be I find you to be an interesting student because Paul and I talk to every single student about time management. Every MBA student knows this is a big dose of academia, among other things, but it's not the only dose that you are taking right now. you have academia and this thing called varsity sports. Some people just have a struggle figuring out how to do all the academic stuff. How do you do it all? Take us through a week or a day. Like, how are you balancing this fuller plate than many have?
Yeah, most weeks are roughly the same, regardless of the time of year we're in. So we train 5 days a week and then 2 games on the weekends. So it's like a 7 day in a week kind of thing. But the specific week I'll walk you through is middle of October last semester. So we started in the morning with a gym session and then off to Paul and Tiffany's class. And then after that, training at 4 p.m. Tuesday, 9 a.m. class, training 4 p.m. And then Wednesday, accounting midterm that week at 9 a.m. And, this is a time of year where I don't have the most time on my hands. It was in the middle of the season, getting ready for playoffs. And, when it comes to midterms and exams, it's a time of year where sometimes I got to cram where I need to if I didn't have the time. So going into this midterm at 9 a.m., I slept 90 minutes before that class. And I'm running off coffee. That's about it, and 90 minutes of sleep. But I did well on the midterm, so that felt good when I got the result. But yeah, after writing the midterm, I can't just call it a day and go take a nap. There's things that got to get done during the day, and then of course training at 4 p.m. We warm up, get into sprints after warm up, right before we get into things, and couple sprints in, I feel my hamstring go like not properly go, but like if I had kept going and it didn't pull out, that was a wrap. So I jump out of the session. I got the physios doing some work on me, and then the rest of the week just looked like, again, class during the day and then training at 4 p.m. This time we've added physio sessions. They're going hard on my hamstrings, like dry needling every day. And like sometimes like where I had to, it's not recommended, but like I had to get it done like twice a day as well, because we have playoffs coming up on that weekend. So again, Friday, same thing. And we traveled to Vancouver on the weekend. On the flight there, I spent like, apart from the time where you got to be seated when the plane takes off, I spent the rest of the time in the back doing hamstring curls and stretches, making sure there's blood flow going to the hamstrings. Just trying to get in as much recovery as I can before the game on the weekend. And we get to the game and my leg is wrapped up and you can see the band-aid coming down underneath my shorts, and the pictures just look funny. But yeah, that's like the life of a student athlete, really. Like sometimes things don't always go your way, but you just gotta deal with it and keep it moving.
Before I pass it to Paul, let me just double check. Do you currently have 2 functioning hamstrings?
No, I do. Yeah, we've recovered.
Good to know.
Recovered. Yeah, we're back to 100%.
Good. Glad to hear.
It's it's interesting. You said something along the lines of like that's the life of a student athlete. I have 2 kids that love sports, and so we go and watch a lot of these university athletes play their sports and work on their craft, and you just think that's all they do. And you're sitting here, you just gave us a crash course in that's not all that they do. There's so much to focus on, and there's so much to manage time, and probably some sacrifices that go along the way, which I think is a part of your journey, right? And I think that it's a journey that you probably wouldn't want to change or want to do over, because it's probably really fun and exciting. So athletes are often said to kind of have an edge in competitive environments. And, with me being here so long, I know the NBA is very competitive. Has being a soccer player kind of shaped the way that you approach the NBA? Things like teamwork, handling pressure, dealing with setbacks. How has that helped you?
Yeah, 100%. I think soccer has taught me something about myself, and that's that I perform well under pressure. Like the higher the pressure, the better my performance turns out to be, and that's really shaped the way I go into my MBA. That's part of the reason why I enjoy doing case competitions and presentations. There's a bit of a thrill to it, and I like to feed off that kind of energy. So I didn't actually get to participate in the internal case competition this semester because of scheduling conflicts, but I was there for the first part of it, just helping set up and stuff. And when I walk in the room, everybody's getting ready with their teams, and you can just feel the tension in the atmosphere and a little bit of nerves going on there. And even though I wasn't participating, I was still like feeding off the energy. I was getting pumped up, and I had class right away. That's why I couldn't do the case comp. And I'm going to class like the way someone would be out drinking like 3 energy drinks, but I didn't have anything. And I just like being in that kind of environment, and I think it really brings out the best in me, and try to put myself in that kind of a position as much as I can, because I think that's where I grow the most.
Hmm. This feeding off of energy, stress, stuff that you've got at pressure would be another word to add to that. And you just mentioned case comps as another thing that you've had some interest in and why you were drawn to it. How do you know when you're actually reaching your limit? Have you gotten there? Do you know what that's like? When does that happen for you?
I don't think I've had a moment where I'm like, okay, that's about all I can do. But of course there's points where you think that you're getting a little bit exhausted and maybe a little bit overworked. But I like to see like everything is a break from another thing you're working at. So like
Hmm.
um if I'm going to class, it's like a break from soccer, and when I'm in soccer, it's like a break from going to class. And when I look at that personally, it's almost like what I'm doing now is more fun than anything else that I could be doing. And when you kind of put it in that, your brain just kind of tricks you into just thinking that what you're doing is easy, and it's actually a break, and it's actually you re-energizing rather than spending more energy. I came across someone saying that on the internet somewhere on Instagram, and it really resonated with me. I didn't even know who said that, but yeah, I just try to trick my brain into that kind of stuff, and it keeps me fresh.
What I hear, if I could use a sports term, is that you really lean into active recovery,
Yeah,
right?
that's a great way to put it. Yeah.
Actively doing something, but that is allowing you to recover from something else, which is an interesting mindset. So you've got one other thing that you're adding to all of this. Let's chat about that. Volunteering. From giving time where you don't have to give it, perhaps with kind of organizations tied to your MBAA. Tell us a little bit about spending time in that realm and why you're choosing to spend the little bit of time you have left in a space like that.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of my growth has come from places where like a person wouldn't call their primary area that's gonna give them growth. So like rather than school, I gained a lot of valuable lessons from sports, and it's considered like an extracurricular. So trying to like after realizing the benefits I've had from that, I try to do this same in other parts of my life as well. So that's really the motivating factor behind getting involved in community, whether it's with U of A or outside of school. I think that it's a great way to improve yourself. There's going to be some places that I could use some polishing up, and that's a great way to get that. And also it's a great tool to just build relationships. A lot of the times you're in the classroom, listening to the professor, and doing less talking, or less talking with other classmates, and maybe you just don't end up working with anybody throughout the entire year in a group.
Yeah.
So you kind of get a chance to work with people as well as MBAs in other years. You kind of get to know people. I think it's a great way to build relationships, and again, like the more as for me, the more I socialize, the more uh, recovered I feel for the next task. And I see just hanging around people and being around people and being social is just a great way for me to get into the next task that I have to do.
Yeah, that's so cool. I've seen, I'm the lucky person that gets to coach you through this MBA program from a career coaching perspective, and you you just take advantage of opportunities like nobody else that I see. Like it is going and meeting people, it's going to CBLA dinners, it's, being part of the MBA gala committee. It's like these stretching opportunities that just allow you to like discover what else is out there, which is so cool. And I think that's, you know, if I could recommend how somebody should do it, it should be just like that. That's exactly what I would recommend. You're operating like a full-time student, a varsity athlete, and a volunteer all simultaneously, though, and that's really tough. What is your approach to time management and I guess recovery? What does that look like?
Yeah, I think for me the biggest thing is that I focus on is nutrition.
Yeah.
I notice it makes a big difference on the field, but as I kind of get a little bit more mature, I start to realize that this is actually something that makes a big difference in things that don't require physical activity as well. So I put that number one on my list. I try to limit the bad things and maximize the good things, to put it simply. And of course, sleep is a big part of it. I'm not very good on that, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm trying to be. I think those two things going hand in hand are things that like they don't directly tie into school or even sports or anything like that, but it's stuff that happens behind the scenes that really makes the impact and gets me ready to go. So I try to prioritize that kind of stuff and try to get myself ready for the next day.
So I'm just going to pop in before Tiffany asks you the next question. It sounds like, focus on what you can control and try not to worry about the things that are out of your control, right? Like the things you can control are your nutrition, your sleep to the best of your ability and all of those things, right? And if you can control those things, the other things start to fall into place, right? The better, I don't know if you can educate a mid-career career coach for any of those kinds of things, but that would be very beneficial. But I think that you're taking one of the I don't know, options out of it, I guess, or these kind of things that could really hurt your training, could hurt your mental fortitude working through MBA classes, things like that, right? So
Yeah,
that's so
like
cool.
that hamstring thing I was telling you about
Yeah,
earlier, that's
yeah,
probably happened because of the sleep. But
yeah,
yeah, when
yeah.
you take care of that kind of stuff, it increases the longevity.
And I don't know, I have to imagine the same is true for Paul, but students come to us and look at us or to us for like some sort of magic recipe to make the MBA easier. Like just tell me what I got to do because it's hard right now. And when Paul and I start and say, "How are you eating? How are you sleeping?" Like these things that seem simple, students at least they look at me and they're like, "No, I was expecting a bigger, more earth-shattering like solution to this." And it can be hard for people to understand that that is the earth-shattering solution. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that you already know that and that you probably actually could, yeah, maybe teach Paul or I a thing or two about that. And it also sounds like a partial answer to the next question. And so I'll see if you have any other thoughts. But there's a difference between surviving your MBA and thriving in your MBA. And what I hear is that you're thriving and you're thriving with a very full, big plate and you're thriving in multiple places. So, what is the difference for you? And maybe there's a bit of advice in there to go from surviving to thriving.
Yeah, of course, those other things that I mentioned definitely play a factor for you to be able to give your 100%. But I think that it's important for me to realize like the entire point of the MBA is to build relationships, network, and build positive relationships. I think the part of thriving comes with as much as doing the most you can in classes. It comes with the people that you socialize with and try to provide your perspectives and see what you can offer to the table while also learning from things that your classmates say. So I think being able to kind of combine perspectives, I've noticed through working with my cohort throughout the MBA year, um, I've learned to look at certain things quite differently that I probably wouldn't have been able to know even exist if I hadn't worked with these people that I have worked with. So I think that makes my thinking more efficient, makes my decision making more effective, and just exposes me to a different way to do things. And I think that's the entire thing about it. Of course, the classes, no doubt, are gonna provide development, but it's I think just making the conscious decision to socialize with your cohort and with your classmates as much as possible.
Hmm.
And it sounds like something little, but I think it's made a huge impact on my MBA so far.
Yeah, we talk about that throughout orientation, throughout all of our classes. Is the biggest and greatest network you're going to have are the people that are sitting to the left and to the right of you. Like those are the people that are going to probably impact you the most in your career. And what I'm hearing is just an opportunity to see very full and a breadth and depth of perspective being given, and that will only help you in the working world. And when I think about even our meetings, like you ask me a question, we offer, and we have great conversation back and forth about what that kind of looks like, or what did you think about that, or what did I think about that, and that's about learning and knowledge and trying to be present in the moment and really taking what people are giving you, right? Which is awesome. Oh, by the way, you're adding a summer internship to the plate of Harkirat. So how do you expect to manage time, knowing that you have to start prepping for a varsity soccer season? You're coming back to kind of finish up the MBA. What does that look like for you starting, in May?
Yeah, my goal going into this summer is just try to expose myself to as many things that I can in that organization and see where I can learn and also build a great network. Um, I think for me, the blueprint doesn't really change. It's we've just replaced an internship with school, and um, I think we're gonna continue to balance soccer with it and try to make myself a little bit more disciplined with my sleep. Because every day is gonna be an early day. So yeah, just hoping to improve in certain aspects that maybe aren't even directly related to the job that's gonna be at hand.
Hmm. So then what advice do you have as someone who is able to thrive with many different responsibilities, totally different areas of responsibilities, and we see you thriving. So if somebody's looking at an MBA and their thought process is, I don't have time for that, or I already have a big full plate, but I really want to do it, what's your advice for them?
I'll say you're never gonna know when you're ready or when the right time is. Just do it. Like there will be days where like you're gonna be overwhelmed. You're gonna have 10 other things, and you're gonna be doing one thing right now, and thoughts gonna cross your mind. Like, is this the most important thing you should be doing? Is this the best use of your time? Like those things will happen, but just do it. Like put yourself there. Like get a little bit of chaos going and kind of shake your world up a little bit. Um, there's a lot to learn from that kind of stuff, and you might find like a lifelong passion in that. And if it's not something that you like, then so what? Next one.
Mm. I appreciate that. I think we've added a second slogan. So I hear, come find your next dose of academia with an MBA. Just do it. That's what I hear that our marketing is turning into. I think it's great.
Tiffany, we can't use that. That has been taken by some other company.
I
So,
feel
but we'll,
like they wouldn't
yeah.
know. I feel like we're small enough potatoes they would never know. I feel like we could maybe change a word. Anyhow, I appreciate the advice, and I think it's for anyone, not just somebody who's got a full plate with sports. There's many other full plates that go, I don't think I can do it, but I really want to do it. So I appreciate that. Just do it.
Yep.
All right. I think there's a lot of sage advice you could offer, but we are running out of time, so we're heading for a lightning round. You ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Yeah. All right. 3 quick questions, 3 gut answers. What is it about your career story that has given you the biggest boost?
Overcoming setbacks.
What do you wish you'd learned sooner?
To look within myself and see where there is area for improvement.
And service is really important to Paul and I. It's what we live and breathe. So we love to finish off with, how does service look for you in the coming week?
I think being able to help someone out, being able to make a positive impact through every interaction or as many interactions that I have, where I can maybe have a person leaving thinking, oh, that was great. I'm glad I talked to him.
I like that. Cool. All right, Paul, you're up. I can't wait to hear what question you've got. You know Harkirat, so what you got?
I think it's very easy for me to ask, what's your favorite soccer club or football club, or, if you could play another sport, what would you do? I could ask you all of those kinds of questions. But I think, Hakirat, the thing that strikes me as so cool about you and your experience is you're so much more than a footballer. You're so much more than an MBA student. You're so much more than a tech guy. I want to know, if somebody is watching this and then they meet you on the street, what could they talk about? What's like a hobby or an interest beyond all of those things that is interesting to you?
Right now, it changes with the chapter of my life I'm in. Right now, I would say personal development. Like there's like, what is it? Like, what is a little thing that you take to make yourself better? Like maybe like, sleep 15 minutes early, or like uh don't add sugar in your coffee, or that kind of stuff. Like what are the little tiny things that you do that gives you an edge in what it is that you do. And I think I could talk about that all day long.
Do you have a recommendation? What is it that you're ingesting right now? Is there someone you follow or a YouTube channel you like or a book you've read that's really impacted you from a personal development perspective?
Personal development, there isn't like any celebrity or any influencer that I follow in any part of my life. There's obviously people that I'm inspired from, but I found that I've never really like been inclined to one specific person. But to see like, so to answer your question about like where it is that I learn certain things, I would say recently I've started looking internally, and I try to learn these things from myself. But also there's many people out there. I don't even know the names of the people talking on my phone screen sometimes, but they have great advice.
They do.
So yeah, I don't really do a background check too much if it sounds like it's good. I think, hey, why not? Maybe even write it down if it's if it's worth writing down. But yeah, I just hope to I try to, rather than finding a person to follow, I try to make my algorithm just show me certain things on my phone. And yeah, it's just kind of like passively improving.
I appreciate that. Following the advice, not the person. Like, I think that's a really neat way to do it, right? It's the advice that hits you, not because another person's another person with their own baggage and their own problems and issues, but follow the advice that speaks to you. Yeah, that's really cool.
100%.
Cool. Harkirat, you are just one of those students that we use as a role model, actually. When a lot of students, and this happens in every cohort, this is not specific to yours. In every cohort, students are like, we don't know how to do all of this. It's all a lot. I can't do it all. And we're like, yeah, but there's students that figure out how to do this and so much more. And they thrive, and they do it with a smile, and they do it because they want to and they're excited to do it. And then that's you. That's the energy that you bring. And it is a role model. It's an inspiration. It is proof that when you kind of figure this out, and how people figure it out is different for every person, but you've figured out how to do this and you can do it. And so when we hear people, I can't do it, I really love talking with students that are like, I can. It's hard and it's tough and I'm overwhelmed. And yes, I didn't sleep and I've got an injury that I'm going through. Like, that's part of doing it, but I'm doing it and I can do it and I'm enjoying doing it. And so thank you for being that role model just as a human, because I imagine there's more coming in your life that is going to seem big and overwhelming, but you're going to bring the I can just do it energy. And that's really cool to watch. So thanks for sharing some of that with us.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. All right. Paul and I were just trying to figure out what the key takeaways were because there were so many and we try to only pick one. So sometimes it's hard to do that before we come on and do this piece. But for me, he said something small that I think is big, but I think it's missed. And so he talked about the impact of nutrition just all the way across the board. And then we expanded that to sleep. And there's a few other things that you could put in that category. You know, activity. He certainly does a whole lot of that. But we often look for the big solutions. We try to go find the fanciest. We throw money at it. We do all these things to try to solve life or make life easier. And we forget that actually our bodies have just asked for some stuff that is pretty simple that we overlook. Can you eat a little bit better? Can you get a little bit more sleep? Can you drink an extra glass of water today? And can you realize how valuable that is across the board? Yeah. So I think that was a good reminder for me, as I need to fill up my water bottle and I'm tired from last night. So I liked that one.
A lot of students, I think you said this in the episode, a lot of students look for the hack, the thing that is going to put them over the edge when it comes to but like it's just small things. And I think I fall into that as well. What's the hack to get this or do that or whatever it is? But it is just the small little things, which is great. For me, the thing that stood out to me, I loved when he talked about, like, he's the varsity athlete. He competes at, for football, probably like the second or third highest level you can get to in Canada, which is pretty spectacular. But he called the NBA a break from soccer or from football, and football the break from soccer, from the NBA. And I thought that was so cool. What a great way to look at things, right? It's like, I love this activity, and my break is going to be doing something else that I'm really enjoying, and then I get to go back to that other thing. And so I really, that is what a cool way to look at having so many things on your plate. And as a parent, I think about, I'm sitting at the dinner table with my kids, and it's like, this is a break from the stress of, working with students and trying to navigate mental health and job challenges and career challenges. And how can you reframe it to have it be a break from the things that you're also doing? So.
I love that. What a great mentality, and
Yeah.
one that I think I'm going to talk about a little bit more as well. How can we
Mhm.
just change the mindset? Which is really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
And you and I both really appreciated his Yes Nike slogan, just do it.
Yeah.
But I was somewhere early this morning and a sign on the shelf said, if not now, when?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like the shivers came along with
Yeah.
him. Like, just there's no good time.
Yeah.
Just do it. And
Yeah.
what could we do in our lives if we just did it? Just gave
Yeah.
it a try.
Yeah.
Cool. What a good conversation. And we don't know what conversation's coming next week because we've come to the time in the season where, where classes are done. So we now get a bit of freedom on who we have on and what we talk about. So we don't know what's coming next week. Something's coming. So stay tuned. But for the next few months, it'll get to be a little bit expanded, which is also a lot of fun for us. So we will see you next week about something, but stay tuned and find out. See you then. Thanks for tuning in to the Career Boosters podcast. We hope you had a blast. Yeah, we know that's corny. Catch you next time, and remember to subscribe wherever you enjoy podcasts.